This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
And welcome in, folks, to the 25th edition of Open Mic Night. I am your host, Noah Taluki, and on today's episode, Lions losing in Tennessee 46-25. We will break that game down for you and what it means for the next two games, the final two games of the season. Also, news from last week, Lions hiring a big hire as a special advisor to the chairman and the president. We will break down that hire for you as well. Also, Lions sending 3 players to the Pro Bowl. We'll break that down for you and give them their proper recognition as well. And also, a little MSU basketball losing in the Big Ten opener to Northwestern. We'll break that one down for you and why nobody should panic about this Michigan State basketball team. But hopefully everybody had a great weekend out there. I definitely did. It was just getting closer to Christmas. You know, my uncle from Georgia came in and we had a good time. I visited him for a couple days and it was nice. Really nice to see the family now. And you know, I'm officially a college graduate, graduated a semester early, and it just feels really good to be done with all that, and now just focusing on getting a job and, you know, watching some more sports right now. And bowl season for college football is in the mix, but you know, I'm not as into bowl season this year as I usually am because, you know, I always describe bowl season as the best time of the year with all the games going on, and I enjoy watching bowls because I get to see, you know, kind of some of the future of the NFL, like some of the diamonds in the rough, especially from those smaller schools. To me, it's really interesting. This year, not as into it, just because there's not as many bowl games, and you know, there's some bowl games getting canceled. You know, some teams can't play in bowl games. Michigan State are out as well, so it's just not as appealing this year. I'll probably watch the games here and there, but not as much as usual. All right, so Lions losing 46-25 to Tennessee, a blow-up of a loss. I mean, they just gave up, I believe, 22 points in the fourth quarter to Tennessee. But, you know, for the first 3 quarters of the game, the Lions were actually keeping up with Tennessee, and I kind of thought that was going to be the story of the game. Did I expect the Lions to win? No, but did I expect it to be close? Yes, and it was for 3 quarters. And then the running game for Tennessee just took off on all cylinders. Derrick Henry stiff-arming the practice squad defensive back. His name escapes me because I didn't even realize. Alexander Myers, that's it. I didn't even realize he was on the team until that game. He had just been signed up to the active roster the day before on Saturday for the cornerback from Houston. And so that was a sight to see for sure. But yeah, the ground game, just too much to handle for the Lions. Also, another thing from the game, you know, there's a lot of talk about how Stafford should not have played and they had nothing to play for. So what, you know, and he had his comments after the game about how he wants to be out there for the team. He doesn't want to let the Lions down, the franchise down. And to be quite honest with you, I agree with him. You know, he's getting paid all this money to be the franchise quarterback for the Lions. I don't mind Stafford playing. I'm not, even though there's nothing really to play for. Did anybody say that about Brett Favre? You know, he started those consecutive games, and I know Brett Favre is more of a winner in terms of record than Matthew Stafford is, but I don't see the whole fuss about it. I don't mind Stafford playing if he is ready to go and he's healthy. And I know he was playing with the banged up ribs, but if he was cleared to play, you know, he's going to play, and that's who Matthew Stafford is. I applaud that I've always been a fan of him doing that, and I don't mind that at all. And I expect Stafford to play in the final 2 games if he's feeling it. If he wants to be out there and if he's cleared to play, he's going to play. So I don't, you know, last week I didn't think that was going to be his last game as a Lion against the Packers. I didn't believe that talk at all because I knew that he'd play on Sunday against the Titans. Now they're going to have a big game against Tampa Bay on Saturday. Tampa with a huge comeback over Atlanta. So we got a little Saturday matinee on the NFL Network. Tom Brady, 43 years old, coming to Ford Field. No fans, of course, but should still be exciting to see old man Tom Brady and Bruce Arians battle the Lions on Saturday. Also, another story from the game against Tennessee. Braden Coombs, special teams coordinator, fired. This is interesting because, guys like Matt Derry, who have been on this podcast before, a lot of them have praised Braden Coombs, the son of Kerry Coombs, who is the defensive coordinator for Ohio State. Very young guy, 34 years old, and a lot of them say he's the best assistant coach on this team. Young guy, some creativity on special teams. They've had a couple blocked punts this year, some nice returns. They've had one of the better special teams units in the NFL over the last couple seasons. And he got fired. He called that fake punt in the fourth quarter. And I remember thinking, I wanted the Lions to go for it in that situation. And then, I was like, oh gosh, we're going to punt again. And then all of a sudden I saw the snap to one of the piggies, I guess you call them, one of the blockers that's in the back right by the punter. And he took off. And for a second, I thought he got the first down. And I wasn't sure why the Lions didn't challenge that, because earlier in the game, Mike Vrabel had challenged the spot when TJ Hawkinson fumbled. So I thought, okay, maybe this is the time for the Lions to challenge the spot, but they did not challenge at all. I was a little surprised by that. But apparently, after the game, it was revealed that Darrell Bevell had no idea and he did not get it approved to call that fake punt. So, therefore, Braden Coombs fired. And you know what this means? This means that none of this staff is coming back. Everybody's getting fired at the end of the season. There was some talk that, maybe Darrell Bevell will, stay on the staff. No, this is everybody's out. And the first step of that is Braden Coombs is fired. I expect Corey Unlin and Darrell Bevell to be fired as well at the end of the season, along with all those other assistants. I know one assistant is still left from the Caldwell era. That is Robert Prince. He is the wide receivers coach for the Lions, and he was very well liked. We'll see if he stays, but that's more of a talk for a couple weeks from now. But I just think that this special teams coordinator firing of Braden Coombs just means it's the end for everybody on this staff. All right, so the Lions also hiring last week Chris Spielman, one of the best Detroit Lions of all time. He was an inside linebacker for, I believe, 8 seasons, the all-time leading tackler in Lions history as well. They hired him as the special advisor to the chairman and president, who is Sheila and Rod. And let me just make this clear. Chris Spielman is not the general manager. Okay? A lot of fans out there think that he's got some big sway and he's making all the decisions. No, we'll get into more of that later, comparing him to another ex-Detroit Lions general manager. That's not the right decision. That's not the right comparison. We'll get more into that in a couple minutes. But I think this is a great, great hire for the Lions. When I was a kid, and this is my personal story with Chris Spielman, when I was a kid, I watched a lot of that NFL Network, A Football Life. That's still to this day one of my favorite TV shows. And, it chronicles the different stories of football players that play in the NFL and coaches as well. And I remember watching the A Football Life of him, this is probably about 10 years ago, on Chris Spielman that they did, and just hearing about his journey and the whole thing with Stephanie, his wife that died of breast cancer, and all the things that he did with that, and just how he carried himself as a player and a father, a husband, all that. I just remember thinking, this is how everybody should strive to be like. They should strive to be like a high character guy, who's very caring of others and, who's very supportive. That's my first impression of Chris Spielman. When I saw that, that was the first time I really understood who he was. And ever since then, I've always had positive feelings about him and about how he can help, different organizations or, great. And then I saw him on TV with Fox, and how he does an excellent job with the broadcast, and, obviously with the stuff that he does with the Breast Cancer Foundation. And, the Spielman name is on one of the buildings for breast cancer research at Ohio State. Everything about this guy I just really, really like. And it transpired to the broadcast booth how smart he was about analyzing plays and just how he spoke on the air. And then I hear the news last week, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is a home run hire for the Lions. I know our friend Matt Derry called it a triple in the gap. He won't call it a home run, but right now I think it's a home run. This is a guy that bleeds Honolulu blue and silver. And you got to remember, this isn't some part-time thing. He's not like Ernie Accorsi, who's going to come in here and just be like a part-time advisor. He's going to help with the GM search, and then he's going to go off to broadcast again. No. He's here full-time. This is going to be, he's an advisor to the chairman and president. So he's going to have a football voice in a room where a lot of people say that they're not football people at all. The Ford family, Rod Wood even admitted he's not a football guy. Finally, they get a voice in there who has a football mind, very smart, very intellectually sound. Chris Spielman, definitely good to have there in Allen Park. Also, I 100% believe that Chris Spielman is all about building a winning culture. And he talked a lot about it in the press conference. And I know press conferences, could be a PR stunt and all that. No. I think Chris Spielman's a very genuine person, and I believe that he believes in everything that he says. And when I was watching his press conference last week, I was captivated by it. I was really, really believing it. It was kind of similar to a little bit of AJ Hinch's press conference with the Tigers. I just felt like I could trust this guy. I could trust this guy to help build my franchise up. I felt the same way with Chris Spielman. One part of the press conference I was just really, really into, and I was really sold on, just having the pride to wear the gear, the Detroit Lions gear, and how the one pride phrase really extends to not only just inside the facility, but it means embracing the city. It means embracing the fans and all that. And everything about that, I just remember thinking, like, have I ever heard a Lions executive say that? No. At least in my life, I've never heard anybody talk about that before. And especially with Chris Spielman and how he's a culture builder, and he really, really wants the Lions to succeed. I just really like that. And I remember back in Cleveland, I was telling my Browns fans about that, and they said, yeah, but, Freddie Kitchens said the same thing last year about, having pride for Browns gear and wearing that and stuff. But I thought, no, Freddie Kitchens is no Chris Spielman when it comes to, saying this thing. Chris really means it. He wants to build a winning culture, and a lot of teams have that winning culture, obviously. Obviously the Patriots. We don't want to get too far into that because a lot of the expatriates don't work out here. Pittsburgh Steelers, a couple other teams. Kansas City's got a winning culture. I think Chris Spielman's very committed to building that winning culture here in Detroit. And, it starts now. And having that pride, because it's something that I've been telling a lot of people for a long time. I'm always wearing Lions gear year round. And some of my friends and some people that don't know me, when they see me, they're like, why are you wearing Lions gear? And I'm just like, because I just have that pride and that passion for the team. And I could totally see where Chris Spielman's coming from, because when I wear the Lions gear, I feel a sense of pride and passion for the team. And I think what he meant by that quote was he wants the fans to believe again. And that's a big problem in Detroit. A lot of the fans, I feel, have quit on the team. They're not watching anymore. They're Lions free, as they say. I think this is big because Chris Spielman, over time, will hopefully create that culture where fans will come back, and there's going to be pride for the Honolulu blue and silver again. So I'm really, really happy about this move. And another thing, and I alluded to it earlier, Carlos Monarez, one of the Free Press sports writers, he wrote an article about how he's not a fan of this Chris Spielman hire. And there was a lot of positive thoughts on this, but this was one of the more negative ones. And he mentioned in the article that it's kind of similar maybe to a Matt Millen situation. And I just thought, oh, no. Pump the brakes here. Okay, Matt Millen and Chris Spielman, both very successful players in the NFL, both with league ties. Here's the thing. Matt Millen was named general manager and the president and CEO of the Lions without any prior experience. And I get Chris Spielman, technically doesn't have any experience in the field of a front office. But let me just make this clear. Chris Spielman is not the general manager or president or anything like that Matt Millen was. He is an advisor. Also, Matt Millen was 42, 43 years old when he took the Lions job. Okay? Chris Spielman is 55. He's a lot older, wiser. He understands it a lot more. I think he has a very successful brother who is the general manager for the Vikings, Rick Spielman, to lean on. Very successful general manager. He talked about all these notes that he's taken over the years. And, a lot of it through the broadcast has helped as well, getting to know guys and all that. And I really liked in his press conference, he really talked about how he reflected on this a lot, and he reflected on it, and he really thinks that right now is a good time because he was asked by a number of teams over the years, if he wants to have a role with their franchise, and he always thought he wasn't ready. And he even said, I am not qualified to be a general manager. He said that. Okay, there's a bunch of guys out there who think they're ready, but they may be not. Chris Spielman admitted he is not ready to be a general manager, but he reflected. He thinks it's time. This is the perfect opportunity for him as special advisor with the Lions, and I think Chris Spielman's going to do a great job. Now, it's a different story of if it's going to work or not, but I think Chris is going to pour his heart and soul into it. I do not think this hurts the Lions at all. I think this only helps. At least there's a football voice in there. At least the Lions are considering other voices in terms of football and not so much the business. He's supposed to bridge the gap between the football side of things and the business side. So it's going to be really interesting, and I really think that this could be, I'm not saying it is, I'm saying it could be the turning point for the Lions in the future. And it's just amazing because so many ex-players, and they've all really, really liked Chris Spielman as a person. And if you want to go back to our previous episode of when I interviewed Stephen Boyd, who was Chris's backup his rookie season, 1995, you can just hear it in Steve's voice about how much he really, really admired Chris Spielman and his work ethic and his desire to win games. You could see that desire, and it was a message on the top of Chris's locker when he played with the Lions. And it said, Super Bowl champs, the only thing that matters, anything less is failure. How about that? A Lions player who actually cares about winning the Super Bowl. He'll do anything to win that championship, and that is exactly what the Lions need right now. 3 players for the Lions getting sent to the Pro Bowl: Frank Ragnow, TJ Hawkinson, and Jack Fox. Ragnow, of course, the starting center. TJ, the number 8 overall pick from last season, the tight end, and Jack Fox, the punter, who is having a tremendous year. Go check out the last episode with Jim Arnold. We talk about Jack Fox a little bit more. Jim Arnold, probably the best punter in Lions history so far, but Jack Fox having a very, very good season. I feel like Jack Fox, when at the end of the year, when they come out with the All-Pro teams, I think he's going to be that first-team All-Pro. I mean, he leads the NFL in almost every punting category. He has been excellent this season, an excellent find his second year out of Rice. And as much as the Pro Bowl voting is a fan voting thing, this means a lot to the players. I know it does. Especially guys like the last. So Ragnow was the first-round pick in 2018, TJ 2019. Those are 2 Bob Quinn picks that are now Pro Bowlers. Yay! So technically, Bob Quinn did draft 2 Pro Bowlers, and then actually 3 because Jamal Agnew was a Pro Bowler for as a return man. But Ragnow has definitely been playing at a Pro Bowl level this season, locking down the center position. But he was out last week with a fractured throat. Never heard anything like that. He was basically nobody could talk to him because he couldn't speak. He had to rest his voice. So I've never seen anything like that, and that was definitely interesting. And TJ, a lot of people criticized the pick last year because there were so many other defensive players out there, and why pick another tight end like Eric Ebron? TJ is special. I think if he were on a better team, TJ would be a Pro Bowler every year. And, he has had a lot of production, and I wish the Lions threw to him more. I wish he was more of targeted like Travis Kelce or George Kittle when he's healthy, because I think TJ could be that good. And he's gotten a lot better from year 1 to year 2. And I know last year he got hurt. He just had that one great game against Arizona. And after that, he kind of phased out. This year, he's the number 3 tight end in the NFL in terms of receiving yards, and that definitely helps as well. I will say this, it is a fan voting, and it's per conference. So the top 2 tight ends in the NFL statistically are Travis Kelce and Darren Waller. They're in the AFC. George Kittle and Zach Ertz, two of the better tight ends in the NFC, they are both hurt. So I'm just saying, I don't know if that would have hurt TJ's chances at getting a Pro Bowl spot if those guys weren't hurt, but still, TJ is a very good tight end. He is very deserving of a Pro Bowl honor, and I'm very excited to see what the future holds for TJ Hawkinson and Jack Fox. I mean, I cannot say enough about how good of a punter he is, and I thought it was a big loss to lose Sam Martin as a punter. He really flipped the field on his punts, but Jack Fox is just better. I mean, I remember that first game of the season, and he's just booming 54, 55-yard punts left and right, and I'm like, wow, we really got ourselves. And the first kickoff, he boomed it out of the end zone. I remember thinking, wow, he's a boomer. He definitely knows how to kick that ball. So I've been a big fan of Jack Fox ever since. No Pro Bowl game this year, though. They're doing like some video game Madden Pro Bowl. I wonder how that's going to work out. We'll have to see. But still, it's an honor for these guys to be chosen, and definitely very happy about their future as well. Finally, last thing on the docket, Michigan State losing their first Big Ten game of the season in basketball to Northwestern, 79-65. Michigan State not shooting the ball that well, and in the first 6 games, they've shot the ball really well. They only shot 39% from the field, but they allowed 53% from Northwestern, and especially on three-pointers. This was a big difference as well. Only 26% for Michigan State compared to 47% for Northwestern. You got to remember, this is a team that Izzo described as one of the best defensive teams that he may ever have at Michigan State. And they just definitely didn't seem to have their defense on against Northwestern. And you got to remember, I know it was technically a road game in quotation marks. It seems like no place this year is really a road atmosphere because nobody's having fans. There's barely any fans at any places. So there's not really that road atmosphere. So you could just say quotation marks. It was at Northwestern, and the defense just looked flat. And I think I have a solution as to why. Now, remember, Michigan State has not played a game since last Sunday when they beat Western Michigan. It was a week hiatus, and I just think Michigan State was a little flat because of that. And I think if you give Michigan State more opportunities and you're playing a little bit more often, and I think this was just a fluke. Northwestern is definitely a better team than we all thought, and I mean, Bouye, I think that's how you pronounce his last name, Buie. I mean, he went off for 30 points. You don't see that too often. One guy, carrying his team, especially against Michigan State. A lot of times, Michigan State, you got to earn it. A bunch of guys are scoring points if they lose, but that was definitely a very impressive effort from their part. I mean, he shot 5 of 6 from 3 as well. You just don't see that often, especially against Michigan State. Joey Hauser struggled. He's been a double-double machine. He only had 5 points in that game. Aaron Henry is definitely going to be the X factor for this Michigan State team. He had 11, 3 assists as well. One guy that I'm kind of concerned with about Michigan State, I don't think he should be starting, but for some reason he is Thomas Kithier. I'm not really a big fan of him, and he's only averaging about 2.5 points a game. I think what they should do is they should start Gabe Brown or Malik Hall. Whenever Malik Hall is ready, I know he's a sophomore, a little more inexperienced than Gabe Brown is. That's why I think we should start off with Gabe Brown and then maybe work Malik Hall in later. Malik Hall had 10 points, 9 rebounds off the bench in 22 minutes. I mean, that's pretty efficient. I just don't understand why Tom Izzo is starting Thomas Kithier. I agree with everybody else, and I agree with Rocket Watts being in the starting lineup as well, because I just don't think Foster, has that shooting ability, and I think Rocket's a little bit better defensively as well. And Rocket's way more athletic than Foster is. He could shoot better, shoot the three-pointer better as well. So I think if Michigan State goes with Joey Hauser, Aaron Henry, Gabe Brown / Malik Hall, Josh Langford, and Rocket Watts in their starting lineup, I think this could be a very lethal combination for the future. They definitely have one of the deepest teams in the Big Ten. I mean, you got Marcus Bingham, who they're trying to work in more. We mentioned Gabe Brown, Malik Hall, even Julius Marble, the sophomore from Dallas. He's been getting more minutes here and there. And even, I mentioned him last week, Matty Sissoko. A guy who's a freshman, who's 6'9", I mean, he can be a shot blocking machine. If they really develop him and get him going, he could be a sight to see. And I know AJ Hoggard has been playing a little bit more as well. He's another freshman guard. So they definitely have guys, especially the freshmen, if they can work them in throughout the season, they can just develop them more and more and get better throughout the year. This team could be even deeper, which is very, very impressive if you're Michigan State. So it's gonna be awesome to see Michigan State. They will be in action again on Friday, a home game against the number 9 team in the country, Wisconsin. And remember, folks, this is probably the best conference in the nation. The Big Ten just loaded. I mean, Wisconsin, you got Rutgers, who's number 11, Iowa, who's number 4, Illinois, who's number 18 at the time of the recording. Ohio State, number 23. Michigan, 19. We haven't talked a lot about Michigan. We'll get into them more later on in future podcasts. But I definitely think nobody should fear about that Michigan State loss. They haven't played in a week. And Wisconsin on Friday, the day, Christmas Day. Yeah, and then they play Monday at Minnesota. And then so games are a little bit spaced out, but I don't think there's a difference between not playing for a week and just not playing for 4 or 5 days. So I definitely think Michigan State will get back to their winning ways. It should be good. It's going to be a battle, though, because the Big Ten, very, very good this season. But I think Michigan State is still a top 10 team in the country, and their defensive prowess that we've seen earlier on has definitely proven to be so. But thanks again, folks, for tuning in. Sorry about no guests this week. It's tough getting people, especially for Christmas, the holidays, and all that. But I really, really think that this is going to be a great move for the Lions with Chris Spielman, and there's a lot to be excited about. As much as people complain about, the teams aren't doing that well right now, and I know the Pistons are starting up, the Red Wings, the NHL announced that they're going to be starting up as well, and not really much to expect from both teams this season, the Pistons and the Red Wings. But hey, there's Michigan State basketball. Michigan basketball is working in their second year with Juwan Howard. And the Lions, hopefully have a good future in the next year or so. So hopefully basketball will give Detroit sports fans some hope for this upcoming sports year. So we'll have to wait and see, but I definitely hope that it happens. But again, folks, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully everybody has a great holiday, a great Merry Christmas, and we will catch you next week only on Open Mic Night.